full of ethics. Their practice, I am an Indian so I know it, is full of selfishness and absolute evil intent, willingly or unwillingly. And the most recent example was the judgment of the Supreme Court, which was aghast at the practice. A few years back, the Supreme Court had ordered that the two-finger test, which is conducted on the rape survivors, is banned. It's insulting, it's dehumanizing. It is in fact adding insult to the injury of the raped woman. Imagine, a girl has been raped, she has passed through a traumatic experience, and then the doctor inserts two fingers in her vagina to see whether she is in the habit of having sex or not, as if, even if she is habitual in sexual relationship, does it condone the act of rape? No. And this was banned, and the Supreme Court in 2013 ruled that the so-called test violates the rights of the rape survivors. And can you believe, after 2013 order, 9 years have passed, and yet this is routinely conducted. That verdict followed the Sexual Assault Law Amendment in 2013, which recognized that the other forms of penetration besides penile vaginal as rape and made a woman's consent irrelevant, sexual experience irrelevant to the issue of consent. Having a sexual relationship with others does not mean that you are willing to have sex with every Tom, Dick and Harry. It doesn't accept that since a girl has a sex with somebody else, she is consenting to have a sex with it. And I remember this thing first came up in 1962. 63. And we had a big hullabaloo about that. And I remember in the Nirman Bhavan, the experts said long term, it sounds scientific. But even today, even the minor girls continue to face this two-finger test, which they call the virginity test. In 2014, the Union Health Ministry issued detailed guidelines stipulating that test should not be conducted as it has no bearing on a case of sexual violence. The guideline also barred the doctor's comments on the past sexual experience or habituation to sexual relationship. However, these guidelines and the Supreme Court judgment was sidelined, and the doctors continued to conduct the test, police continued to believe it, and the magistrate and the judges continued to depend on it. As I said, Gujarat High Court in 2020, Madras High Court this very year has always condemned the use of this test and the abuse and the torture that it inflicts on the girl. What has happened? The communication, the direction, the directive, the guidelines did not read the doctors, or they did not bother to read it. As I said, either a lack of communication or a disregard to communication. The Supreme Court judgment did not percolate to the lower level of judiciary, not even to the High Courts. And no High Court except Gujarat High Court in 2020 and Madras High Court this year castigated the continued practice. So doctors are guilty, police is guilty, judicial system at the lower level is guilty. Has anybody been punished? No. So what is required? A central legislation which criminalizes two-finger test. That is one way. And then the states would cry a lot. about the interference by the center in the state affairs, but that's required. Can you believe that the doctors are ignorant of a seminal judgment and the guidelines in their field? Is that not a matter of surprise? The Lord Judiciary and the police seem clueless, absolutely, that Section 66A of Income Tax Act was quashed in 2015. That's the second thing. And cases continue to be prosecuted under that provision. The police prosecutes them. The judges hear it and punish the person. And the High Court and the Supreme Court have said that that has been quashed. How can you prosecute a person on under a section which is quashed? So the 2014 guidelines which I referred to advocated extensive training for medical personnel and a uniform method of examination through SAFE kit. SAFE is Sexual Assault Forensic Evidence Kit. But the two-finger test continued. Now, this test is, as I said, dehumanizing the girl who has already been traumatized by the violation of her body and the crushing of her spirit. But is that the only thing? Untouchability was banned long back. And still it continues. In some cases, of course, it's not that dominant, but if you go to the villages in the hinterland, you would find the evidence as such. Even now, I have seen in the small villages when the sweeper comes and normally they give the bread and meals to them, they put it and give it from a distance. Other place it on the earth, on the ground, and the other person will pick it up. Is that not insulting to a human being? But that's done. And nobody is castigated, nobody is prosecuted. We say there should be no hate crime. Lynches take place. Are the people punished? Murders take place. The processes are wrong. The systemic processes which should have been overhauled have not been done. And no country can really be called civilized or cultured if the systemic violation of the processes is always there. Government of India recently banned triple talaq, the Muslim way of saying talaq, talaq, talaq 3 times. Pakistan has banned it. Turkey has banned it. But India, though they have banned it, still the cases have come up where the women have said that despite this banning, they have been divorced like this. And then the case, in this case, went right up to the High Court. Why could the magistrate not right away send that guy to jail? Because he had violated law. And he had admitted. Hindu Marriage Act, Women, Girls Inheritance Act. Do the girls still get inheritance? No. The plea taken is, well, you were married and we have given you the dowry. Dowry is a gift which the parents give when the separation is there. And you cannot calculate the amount of the dowry in the inheritance. But the systemic failure again is there. So India is progressing, agreed, economically, technologically. But is it progressing at a social level, at a human level? No. The answer is an absolute no. And that's painful, that's agonizing. And that coupled with the arrogance of the elected leaders who treat the voters like dirt after the elections, especially if they belong to the opposition party, is another failure of the system. As I said, the system is failing. You are late, and the plea taken is, well, I'm just late, there was crowd. Why? Because that has become a habit. And the people are so habituated to the failures that when something right is sought to be done, that is looked upon with apprehension. The government dispensaries and the hospitals are supposed to give free medication. But usually what happens? The compounders, they take away the medication, sell it in the market, and when the people come, well, there's no medication. Please purchase in the market. We can't help it. We have placed an order, the supply hasn't come. Bad process. Education. Mass copying is done. And people have seen the way the mass copying has been done, especially in Bihar. Any action? Any mass action? No. Why? Because of systemic failure. You know, when a rape takes place and the leader of a major party who has been the chief minister of UP, now he's dead, so I won't name him, he says, well, the boys are boys, they'll commit mistakes. Why do they forget that the mistakes are committed? Then the punishment has got to be there, they've got to pay for it. You cannot have the cake and eat it as well, and that's what is happening in India. In India, if you have, and then, but I'm telling of India, I'm talking of India because I belonged to India at one time. And I know the system very well. But what I'm telling you is not only true of India, it's true of Pakistan, it's true of Bangladesh, it's true of many other countries. So you see whether that is true of your country. And if that is there, takes proper steps to change it. Change. And that starts with you. Do you accept nonsense? I agree that these guidelines which I refer to, the judgments, would not be known to the common people. But the lawyer who took the case, and the doctors who conduct their test, and the junior judges who punished a person and let go of the person, why should they not be prosecuted and sent to jail? And you do it in one case, you can be sure it's not going to be repeated. So you need to criminalize the systemic failures as well. Till now, systemic failures is not punished. It's let go of. It should not be. As a matter of fact, the heinous violations should be criminalized. The less should be punishable otherwise. Disciplinary action, penalties, termination, whatever. But you need to take an action if you want to make the country really great. Calling it Atam Nirbhar only from the economy point of view is not going to do anything. You have got to build in the concept of being a human being. And there, India and the countries like India are failing. The people are treated like statistics, not as human beings. And that tragedy can only be averted if systemic failures, if processes are systematically reconstructed, and any violation by anybody at any level is given a deterrent punishment. That is the way for the country to become great. Not only increasing the GDP, not only by increasing the employment or by building excellent infrastructure. They're helpful. But what gains, what he say, the poet said, ill fares the land that hastening ill prey, where wealth accumulates and men decay. And in India, men are decaying. When men means men, women, children, you and me. Thank you.